"Okay, guys, say hi for the recording," Jess said brightly. "Keep in mind that this is for posterity. What you say now will directly influence how future generations see us. But no pressure." The three of us laughed. "I'm sure my grandpuppies will appreciate this," Lily commented. "Come on, be serious." "You started it," I reminded her. "Thanks for volunteering to be the first one to introduce herself, Amy." Jess and Lily giggled. "Okay, fine." I cleared my throat. "I'm Amy Faust." "I'm Jess Drew." "And I'm Lily Banks," Lily said. "We're here at an asylum-turned-tourist trappy bed and breakfast for my bachelorette party, and we're looking to catch some ghosts. We're about to go inside and check in. I'm going to keep at least one camera recording all weekend so we don't miss anything. We're going to go inside, Amy's going to check us in, and Lily and I are going to explore." "Like heck you are," I countered. "You're staying in the lobby until we have our room key." Jess stuck out her tongue. "You're such a mom." "I know, but what if a ghost gets me and you two aren't there to watch?" "Fair enough, let's head inside." We all headed inside the big, ominous doors behind us. The lobby had an unsettling charm. Victorian-era furniture covered in dust, old photographs whose subjects seemed to stare a little too intently, a draft that carried the faint scent of something rotting. Jess started giggling the moment we walked in. "It's kind of chilly in here," she commented. "Spooky." I rolled my eyes and headed for the front desk while Jess wandered, pointing out a newspaper clipping. "Look, this place shut down after accusations against the director, Johann Faust." She glanced at me. "Isn't your husband's name Johann?" I chuckled. "Weird coincidence. Anyway, I got our keys." Our room was at the end of the hall. Jess flopped onto a bed, camera in hand. "We're staying up to see what spooky stuff happens, and if it's boring, we have an Ouija board." I pulled up an article. Rosewood Hospital housed 70 patients over 3 years. Many died. Illness, suicide, infection. Some exorcisms happened too. "Think the director's ghost still lingers?" Lily teased. "We have an Ouija board. Let's find out." The session. We gathered on the floor, fingers on the planchette. "Is anyone here?" I asked. "Yes." "Your name?" "Jess." "How old?" 25. Jess paled. "Her age exactly." "Why were you here?" "Paranoid." "How did you die?" "Hanging." Jess forced a laugh. "Well, at least she's not hostile." The board moved again. LOOKOUTSIDE. The curtains flew open. Nothing but moths. Then, "Ha ha ha ha." "Not funny," Lily muttered. I exhaled. "Jess, do you have a message for us?" "Watch your backs." I hesitated, then asked, "Are you alone?" Number A, new name appeared. Samael. "Angel or demon?" Jess wondered aloud. "Do you have a message for me?" I asked. "Stay safe tonight. Don't leave the room." 3 a.m. I woke to Jess staring at me. "You're not supposed to be awake," she rasped. "What?" "I heard something. I'm checking it out." "Samael warned us." "You trust a demon over me?" She stepped into the hallway. I grabbed the camera and followed. The darkness felt wrong. Scattling, it's unclear where it's coming from, and I rack my head to try and find it. Bits of light highlight the edges of something on the wall. However, like a flash, it's gone before I could even register what it was. Too thick. Something was out there. "Jess, we need to go back." "Then go." Her voice was distorted. She moved toward a shadowy figure. My legs wouldn't move. "Jess, come back." She vanished. The lights flickered on. I was alone, cold and terrified. It's been a couple of weeks now. Lily and I filed a missing persons report, but so far, nothing's turned up. Jess's fiancé is demanding answers. I think he suspects foul play. The thing is, I think I know what happened. When I was leaving the hotel, I saw a plaque dedicated to the patients who died there. One of the names was Jess Drew. Date of death, October 17th, 1925. Cause, hanging. That's partially why I'm posting this here. I need to tell someone. So far, Lily is skeptical. Jess's fiancé has all but accused me of murder, and I doubt telling the police would do much other than land me in either a cell or a mental institute. Told my maid of honor that I wanted my bachelorette to be an out-of-town weekend, preferably next to the beach with some nightlife. That was all I asked for. Pretty simple, or so I thought. Melanie said she'd try to make it happen, and after 3 months, when I asked her how the planning was going, she told me she was having a hard time getting PTO. I asked her how that could be when she had months to get those PTOs. But instead of answering my question, she said she would rather just spend a night out on town. It was a huge disappointment, but what could I do? I had spent almost $1,000 on Melanie's bachelorette 2 years ago, a 4-day weekend in Charleston, because that's what she asked for. I almost got fired from my job because I had used up all my PTOs to travel for her bridal shower and dress appointments, and that's not counting the Bach and the wedding itself. And I broke a finger helping her with centerpieces and decorations. I loved that girl. She was my bestie, my ride or die, and for her to be like, oh, I can't get PTO for my Bach? That's so bullshit. I know friendships aren't tit for tat, but I couldn't help feeling bitter. I seriously planned on telling Melanie I didn't want the Bach anymore. But then I knew Edmund, my fiancé, would ask me why I wasn't getting a bachelorette. Edmund had 1 million friends who'd do anything for him, something he never failed to remind me. He was a great guy, but had this high school mentality that made me feel like such a loser sometimes. So when Melanie, my best friend and maid of honor, threw me a bachelorette party, it was just the two of us. We got drinks, went back to my place for pizza, and that was it. Meanwhile, Edmund was headed to Vegas with 10 groomsmen who covered his first-class flight and luxury hotel. He couldn't stop gushing about it, and coming off my sad excuse for a bachelorette, I wished he'd shut up. Then I found out Melanie had tagged along to Vegas, uninvited, clinging to her husband James, Edmund's best man, and acting hostile toward any woman who came near him. By Sunday, everyone was fed up. At first, I thought Melanie was just being her usual clingy, selfish self. But the more I dug, the stranger things became. Why hadn't Edmund answered his phone? Why did James look like he'd seen a ghost when I mentioned her name? That morning, Edmund overheard James shouting in his room. When he knocked, James opened the door, looking like he was going to kill someone. But then Melanie appeared, calm and composed, pulling James back and closing the door in Edmund's face. Meanwhile, back home, my bridesmaids texted me, asking what was going on with the bachelorette trip they'd each sent Melanie $700 for. I had no idea what they were talking about. That afternoon I called Edmund, but he didn't answer. Neither did James or Melanie. One of the groomsmen said he hadn't seen Edmund since morning. I took the last flight out to Vegas and tracked down James in his penthouse suite. He claimed he hadn't seen Edmund either, but then he added, "Last time I saw him, he was with Melanie." My stomach dropped. As I broke down, James held me, but something about him felt off. My mind kept drifting to a dark stain on the floor. Something about it seemed wrong. When I suggested getting drinks, James eagerly agreed. As we stepped into the hall, I saw Edmund at the far end. James hadn't noticed him yet. I whispered something suggestive to James, making him drop his guard, then slipped his room key from his pocket as the door shut behind us. The second I had it, I ran. James lunged, yanking my hair just as I leaped into Edmund's arms. Then I saw the knife in James's hand. James lunged, the knife glinting under the hotel lights. Then, bang! He staggered, eyes wide, blood blooming on his shirt. Behind him, Melanie stood trembling, the gun slipping from her grip. Later, Melanie and Edmund told me everything. James had lost his job months ago and blamed Edmund for taking his promotion. He emptied their joint account to fund Edmund's bachelor party, which made Melanie suspicious. She followed him to Vegas, faking the role of a jealous wife to stay close. On Sunday, she found a gun in their room. Realizing James had something planned, she warned Edmund, who brushed it off, until another groomsman accidentally confirmed James's grudge. Edmund finally believed Melanie and went off-grid to the desert with a friend, dodging James. When James couldn't find Edmund, he figured out Melanie had betrayed him. He beat her unconscious and shoved her under the bed right before I knocked. That stain on the carpet? Melanie had peed while passed out. After I lured James out, Melanie came too. She grabbed the gun, found us in the hallway, and shot James just as he attacked Edmund. Melanie had saved our lives. Melanie said she would pay the bridesmaids back, but Edmund and I insisted we would have that covered. It was the least we could do for her. I made Melanie move in with Edmund and me because she could no longer afford the mortgage on her salary alone. James had also run up various credit cards behind her back and fucked over her finances for the next 2 years. When Melanie got a promotion at work that came with a big raise and better PTO, she and the original bridesmaid squad took me to Miami. It wasn't a bachelorette party because I was married by then, but we still did all the bachelorette things. We wore matching pink outfits, had a scavenger hunt, played board games, and annoyed strangers with our silly antics. So I ended up getting my dream bachelorette after all, and I didn't even have to plan another wedding to get it. The woman who hired me to be her bridesmaid didn't like the way I looked. Maybe I was a little frumpy from my flight, but the way she was eyeing me up and down in the terminal had me reconsidering my decision to come thousands of miles from the comfort of my couch to be this woman's bridesmaid. "Hi, I'm Winona," I said, trying my damnedest. "You can call me Noni." She glowered at me for a moment. "What's wrong with your hair?" "My hair? I might have slept on it." "No, it's red. And your face is not symmetrical, not like your Instagram pictures." "Oh, that's not me. That's my friend Jenna. I'm filling in for her. She didn't tell you?" The woman appraised me again, looking at my body as if I were an undersized cattle at auction. I turned to the side and gave her a half smile, deeply uncomfortable. "Maybe we should call Jenna and work this out." "No, you're already here," she said before flashing a smile. "I'm Cassia, but you can call me Cassie. Cassie and Noni. I like that. Here, let me take your bag. I'm just going to use the bathroom real quick. Just 1 sec." I wheeled my suitcase toward the bathroom, glancing back to find Cassie watching me closely. Crammed into a stall, I called Jenna. "You didn't tell her about me?" "I thought I did. Maybe not. New mom brain." "You didn't think she'd say yes if she knew." "Noni, you're not exactly 27 dresses material." Hard to argue. Jenna had always been the Disney princess. I related more to the witches, but I needed money for my art school loans. "The bride's acting weird," I whispered. "All brides do. Just laugh, hold up her dress so she can pee, dance with her pervy uncle. You got this. The drive to Triora was nauseating. Winding roads, dense forest. Cassie kept brushing my arm like she was checking for something. Her gaze lingered on my freckles, a little too long, like she was memorizing them. My family has deep roots here, she said. We're a little traditional. Triora, the Salem of Italy, clung to its past. Max, Cassie's fiancé, greeted us outside a crumbling villa. Oddly, he opened my door, but let Cassie get out on her own. Ciao, Bella. Wait, you're a redhead? Yeah, didn't realize that would be an issue. She's perfect, Cassie said. The family will love you. They didn't speak English, but smothered me in kisses. We ate underground, candle-lit stone walls pressing in like a crypt. Cassie vanished, leaving me with Max. How'd you meet? I asked. I'm a historian. Met her at a bar. The rest is history. Cute. Any other bridesmaids? You're it. The night spiraled into drunken euphoria. They called me Cassia. At first, I corrected them. Eventually, I stopped. Back in my room, I found hair dye and a lacy nightgown. A note from Cassie. Will you please use this? You're my girl XOXO. I called Jenna. She wants me to dye my hair and wear lingerie. Welcome to being a bridesmaid. By morning, I was chestnut-haired in a voluminous gown meant for a bride. Cassie beamed. Bellissima. At the church, guests dressed in black. The priest spoke solemnly. The organ music stopped. A hush fell over the guests. I turned to Cassie, expecting a wink, a smirk, something. But she only stared, her lips parted, her expression unreadable. At the altar, it was just me and Max, and suddenly I realized this wasn't a wedding, it was something else. Will you hold my hand? He whispered. Not. It's tradition. The doors slammed shut, candles snuffed out. A dark mist slithered down the aisle, thickening into a skeletal figure with gleaming eyes. Sua! 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 The guests chanted. Max pointed at me. Her! 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 The spirit lifted my veil. Recognition passed between us. Two misbegotten creatures with jobs to do. I pointed at Cassie, hiding in the back row. The spirit turned. No! Max yelped. Not her. This is the one I love. He grabbed my hand and tried to kiss it. I punched him. Blood spattered my dress as the spirit dragged Cassie by her chestnut hair. A trapdoor yawned open. She vanished into the depths. The guests wailed. Max ran after her, clutching his broken nose. I ran, barefoot, my gown catching on the cobblestone, the wails of the guests behind me. The spirit's screech rang in my ears as I reached the villa. Throwing myself into my suitcase and shoving my passport into shaking hands at the airport counter. An old shopkeeper offered me a ride. He didn't ask questions, but he did offer a piece of advice. You should be careful in a dress like that, he said, wagging his finger as we pulled into the terminal. The spirits might mistake you for a bride. I changed into my clothes in a bathroom at the airport, stuffed the wedding gown in the trash can. I caught my reflection in the mirror on my way out. My face was streaked with makeup, hair everywhere, skin dotted with dried blood. For the first time in a while, I didn't mind how I looked. I was about to board my flight back home when I got a text from Jenna. So, was being a bridesmaid as awful as you thought it'd be? They tried to turn me into a decoy to trick an evil spirit into dragging me to hell. Lol, typical. I have another client if you're interested. I thought for a moment, confirmed the new balance in my bank account, then replied, I'm girl.